everyone, thanks for joining us today. I hope you all are having a great day. Today we're going to be doing this 3-tier wooden table. It's solid wood and it has 3 lovely tiers that go up in size as you go down, and then the legs are really beautiful. Those legs had 2 of these, and although they're really nice, it only had 2 and 3 legs, so we removed them and we're gonna keep them off, and we're gonna paint the whole table in this beautiful color and just leave it without the 2 feet. When I first got this table, I noticed in some places it really needed some sanding, so I took a couple different grit sandpaper and just lightly went through it and then dusted it off. And now that the sanding has been done, I'm gonna take a lint-free rag with some rubbing alcohol and I'm just gonna go all around it. See how it looks a lot better already? And we're gonna take off all the dust, all the dirt, and get it really nice and clean, and then we'll come back and it's time to paint. So now that the piece has been lightly sanded and cleaned thoroughly using rubbing alcohol, I'm gonna go ahead and use one of my chalk painting brushes and a Fusion mineral paint in Homestead Blue and give it its first coat of paint. So this is what the piece is looking like right now. That is just one coat, very lightly. You can still see some of the wooden grain. Just a very light coat of that paint. It goes a really long way. See how nice it is? So I just dipped the tip of the brush and just went through it, and I love it. It looks beautiful. So I'll check back in with you guys when I have the next 2 layers finished. So it's been roughly about 2 minutes since the last time we checked in with the top tier done. So now we have the 2nd and 3rd tiers. So you can see this paint goes on really nice and really fast. So now I'm gonna go ahead and focus on these parts. So for these, I find it really useful if you use a light, almost dry brush for the first coat, so that way you don't get a lot of paint drippage. Yeah, see how it looks? All right. Well, I'm also gonna go ahead and go through the edges and make sure they're all nice and covered, and I'll be back. All right, so I already went through the middle parts and I painted them down, so they're all painted, and I went down to the bottom one and then the same. I don't know if you can tell, but there's still some parts where it needs coverage from the paint, but that's all right because we're gonna come back and get that. And then the legs still haven't been made because we're going to turn this whole table upside down and paint the interior part. A lot of people who do chalk painting say that's not too important and they leave it as is, but I really like getting down and painting all sides of a table. You can see the color is taking really well. Sorry about my hands. I've been painting so you can see all the colors still there. But the color has been taken really well by the piece, and it looks really beautiful, really fresh. It doesn't look as tired or worn as it was before. So we'll come back in a few minutes. So here I'm going to show you kind of how the paint goes on, how well and really nice the coverage is. See that? That was lovely. So I'm only painting with one hand while holding my phone with the other, but it's still working really great. All right, see that? We got already a whole leg, well, at least one side of it, and then I'm taking it up here and just working it into those grooves, and then at the top. And it doesn't matter if it gets paint here, because like I said before, I'm gonna go ahead and paint that as well. And then I'm gonna continue down this leg. Oh, I got a couple pieces back there that are drying up. And I'm gonna go back to my paint, and I'm not gonna dip a lot, just the tip. Dry off the excess here and go again. And this piece will be available for sale, like all my pieces. This one, I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna post it online or it's gonna be exclusively at the Westside Flea in a couple days. So I think I'll decide when I finish it. But for now, this is looking really good. See the difference in just one coat, what it can do? So this part is not painted yet. And then that part, we just gave it a once over. And then, ooh, nice, okay. And then we go right there. And again, working it into the grooves. Making sure we don't get a lot of paint in there. And then with that same paint, just working all down the sides. So today we're also working on a couple other pieces. So this is not the only piece. We have a couple side tables and a couple other pieces. Really interesting stuff, but those you guys probably won't get to see until the Westside Flea. Nice. And then we're gonna go here and paint some more. See how it looks? All right, so I'm gonna finish these. Oh, there's where I got all my stuff set. So I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna finish this, and I'm gonna come back, show you guys what it looks. All right, so we finished the bottom part, all the legs. We finished the pedestal part of it with the first coat. So now we're gonna flip it upside down and paint this part right here, all of these. So we'll be back. So the table has been flipped. Since we already painted the top part, I don't want to damage that, so I set it on top of a moving blanket. You can use a tarp or whatever you have in hand just so it doesn't touch the driveway. And then as you can see, it's all raw. And here we missed a little spot, but that's all right because we're gonna go through it. We're also gonna paint the underside of the legs and all undersides of each table. So I'll show you what that looks like in a few minutes. So checking back in, this is what it looks like with the first coat on the first layer. So I still have the two bottom layers, or I guess top layers, raw, so those need to be painted. But the very bottom layer right next to the legs is all done with the first coat. And then the legs, they're all painted. So I know a lot of people who do chalk painting or furniture painting, and they say it's not necessary to paint the bottom part of the furniture. Sometimes when it's not necessary, I don't paint it. But in pieces that are like this, where you have access to the bottom part, I really like to go the extra mile and paint it, because all my furniture is meant to be sold, and I want my customers to have the best that they can. So if I were to buy a piece and take it home, and then I find out that the bottom part has not been painted at all, I think I wouldn't like that. So I go ahead and I paint it, and I make the best pieces possible so that all my customers are happy, and I'm happy with the product that I'm also putting out there. So I'm gonna go ahead, paint the two bottom top layers, and I'll be back to show. It has been about 10 minutes since the last time we spoke, since I painted this top part. So now it's dry and it looks really nice, and I went ahead and repainted this part and painted this part and this part again, and oh my gosh, my hand is full of paint. And I also painted this tier and this tier, so it's ready to go. So now it's time to flip this right back up, set it down, and give it a second coat at the top before we seal it, and it's all done. This is also what the legs look like. They look great. Alrighty, so it's right side up. This is what it looks like. The bottom part is all done. So now, as you can see, it dried up, but you can see a little bit of streaking along here, which is fine because we're gonna give it 2 more coats. I mean, 1 more coat would be enough, but I want it to be really nice and smooth. So I want to give an extra 2 here, 2 more here, and 2 more here. This is what it's looking like. So I'll be back, paintbrush in hand, paint already there, back to work. Right, so this is what the table looks like, all finished. Ooh, isn't that pretty? So the color covered a lot. I used barely a little bit of the paint, so it's all painted. It's painted upside down as well. So this is what it looks like all around. As you can see, all the tiers are ready. So this is, although it's finished, I still need to put a polyacrylic water-based sealant all over it, or a wax, to make it last a long. All right, so for the final step, I'm gonna take my wax brush and my Fusion Beeswax finish, and I'm gonna go in, which I already did, and I took some of the wax, and I'm gonna rub this all over. Here's my wax brush with the wax already on it, and I'm just gonna go through and apply this all over the piece. See the difference with it and without it? But it's gonna look a lot better once it's all over the piece and we let it settle for. This has been applied using this brush to the whole piece, all the layers, the legs, the parts that hold it in the middle, and I've also applied it on the upside down part. So now we have to wait about 30 minutes and we'll remove it. It's been a little bit longer than 30 minutes, and now it's time to take a little cloth and buff all this wax out. All right, so the table is all finished. We already removed the wax from it, and then I've styled it with a couple of farmhouse style items, like this plant and the mason jar and this really nice milk glass container and this one. And like always, all the products on top of our tables are found either on our Etsy shop or in one of the local events. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a like and go check us out on Instagram, and if you came from Instagram, thanks for checking us out.